Imagine diving into the dark waters of the Black Sea. The light above fades and the silence of the deep presses around you. Suddenly, your flashlight catches something impossible: carved stone walls, toppled columns, and the faint outline of streets that have not felt human footsteps in thousands of years. What if, beneath the waves of this ancient sea, there lies a forgotten city, a place that may hold secrets older than recorded history itself? For centuries, the Black Sea has been whispered about in myths and legends. Some scholars believe it was the stage for the Great Flood story later told in the Bible and echoed in Mesopotamian epics. Others see it as a cradle of lost civilizations, a place where prehistoric humans once built thriving settlements before the waters rose and swallowed them whole. But is this simply myth, or could science and archaeology be uncovering the truth? In recent decades, researchers exploring the seabed have discovered startling clues: submerged stone structures, ancient artifacts, and evidence of a catastrophic flood that forever reshaped human history. These discoveries force us to ask, how much of our past remains hidden beneath the waves? In this documentary, we will dive deep into the mystery of the ancient city found beneath the Black Sea. We'll explore the geological evidence, the archaeological finds, and the powerful myths that surround this place. We'll question what role it played in human evolution, how it connects to Neanderthals, Ice Age migrations, and the birth of early civilizations. And we'll reflect on what this hidden city reveals about humanity's resilience and our tendency to forget the lessons of the past. The Black Sea may not only conceal a city, it may conceal the missing chapters of our story.
To understand the mystery of the city beneath the Black Sea, we must first step back in time, far beyond the rise of empires, and into an age when Europe was still shaped by glaciers and prehistoric humans struggled to adapt to a world in constant flux. Roughly 20,000 years ago, at the height of the last ice age, much of the Earth's water was locked away in colossal sheets of ice. Sea levels were dramatically lower. What we know today as the Black Sea was, in fact, a massive freshwater lake, fed by rivers from the north and surrounded by fertile plains where both Neanderthals and early Homo sapiens may have roamed. Imagine vast grasslands stretching for miles, dotted with herds of mammoth and aurochs. This was not the sea we recognize today, but a prehistoric heartland of human survival. Then came a turning point. Around 10,000 years ago, as the Ice Age receded, the glaciers began to melt. Oceans swelled, rivers overflowed. And at some point between 7,500 and 8,000 years ago, a cataclysmic event may have occurred. The Mediterranean Sea, rising from the melting ice, broke through the narrow Bosporus Strait with unstoppable force, flooding into the basin that became the modern Black Sea. The geologists William Ryan and Walter Pittman proposed this theory in the 1990s, calling it the Black Sea Deluge Hypothesis. They suggested that the flooding was so sudden and so powerful that it submerged vast areas of farmland and entire human settlements in a matter of months. Villages that once thrived along the shores of the freshwater lake were engulfed, lost beneath hundreds of feet of seawater. If this hypothesis is true, then the Black Sea disaster may have been one of the most devastating events faced by early human civilizations, a disaster so profound it could have seeded the flood myths that echo across cultures, from the Epic of Gilgamesh to the story of Noah's Ark. Archaeological research has since begun to test these ideas. In the early 2000s, Robert Ballard, the famed oceanographer who discovered the wreck of the Titanic, turned his attention to the Black Sea. His underwater expeditions revealed something remarkable: the remains of wooden structures preserved in the oxygen-deprived waters of the seabed. Unlike other seas, the Black Sea has a unique chemical composition. Below a certain depth, oxygen disappears completely, creating a natural time capsule where wood, rope, and even human artifacts can survive for millennia. Ballard's team reported finding ancient shorelines, drowned river valleys, and what may be the remnants of human habitation. The significance of these discoveries cannot be overstated. If true settlements lie beneath the Black Sea, they may represent some of the oldest drowned cities in the world. Unlike Atlantis, a myth shrouded in legend, the Black Sea's lost settlements are rooted in geology, archaeology, and human prehistory. These were not mythical utopias, but real communities of farmers, fishers, and herders, people who lived and died as the seas around them began to rise. Yet the scientific debate continues. Some researchers argue that the flooding of the Black Sea was not as sudden or catastrophic as Ryan and Pittman proposed. Instead, they suggest it may have been a gradual process, occurring over centuries rather than months. If that is the case, then perhaps the stories of sudden destruction are exaggerations, myths built from long-term memory. Others point to the fact that evidence for advanced cities beneath the sea is still fragmentary. While wooden beams, tools, and pottery shards have been found, the dream of discovering streets, walls, or temples remains unfulfilled. Still, even fragments can tell powerful stories. Pottery found on the seabed suggests Neolithic people once lived along the shores of the ancient Black Sea Lake. Stone tools hint at communities skilled in farming, fishing, and crafting. The drowned riverbeds mapped by sonar suggest landscapes where human families once walked. And if the Black Sea Deluge did indeed scatter its survivors, those displaced people may have carried their stories and technologies into Europe, the Near East, and beyond, helping to shape the dawn of civilization. This is why archaeologists and historians return to the Black Sea mystery again and again. It is not simply about ruins beneath the waves. It is about understanding one of the most transformative moments in human evolution. Just as the Ice Age forced humans to adapt, so too did the rising seas. Could the trauma of watching entire homelands vanish beneath the water have given birth to the great myth of the flood? Could the refugees of the Black Sea have carried the seeds of civilization into Mesopotamia, Egypt, or the Mediterranean world? The Black Sea is not just a body of water, it is a mirror of human resilience, a reminder that our ancestors faced disasters we can barely imagine. And it may still be hiding the greatest archaeological discovery of all, proof of a lost civilization that once thrived on its shores before the flood.
Picture the scene. It is around 6000 BCE. The last echoes of the Ice Age have faded and the Earth is warming. The Black Sea, still a freshwater lake, is ringed by fertile plains. Along its shores, communities of Neolithic farmers have begun to flourish. They are among the first humans to experiment with agriculture in this region, planting wheat and barley, herding goats and sheep, and crafting pottery to store food. Their homes are modest, wooden structures reinforced with clay, clustered near rivers that flow into the lake. Fires burn at night, smoke curling into a starlit sky. For generations, life here is predictable, stable, and full of promise. And then, the water comes. Archaeologists reconstructing this moment describe it in dramatic terms. Imagine a thunderous roar as the rising Mediterranean finally surges over the natural dam of the Bosporus. In a matter of months, if not days, salt water pours into the Black Sea basin at a rate estimated to be 200 times that of Niagara Falls. The freshwater lake begins to swell. Rivers reverse their flow, flooding backward into valleys. Settlements that once lay miles from the shoreline are swallowed, one after another. Families who had lived here for generations are forced to flee inland, carrying what little they can save. For the survivors, the trauma is unimaginable. A homeland drowned, crops lost, graves of ancestors erased. But from this catastrophe, the seeds of human mythology may have been sown. Was this the event remembered in ancient flood stories? When Mesopotamian scribes wrote of the hero Utnapishtim in the Epic of Gilgamesh, saved from a flood that destroyed humanity, were they preserving the memory of the Black Sea's deluge? When the Hebrew Bible spoke of Noah's Ark, or when Greek poets told of Deucalion and Pyrrha surviving a divine flood, were they echoing the cries of those displaced farmers thousands of years before? The archaeological finds beneath the Black Sea lend weight to these possibilities. In 2000, Robert Ballard's team uncovered what appeared to be the remains of a Neolithic house nearly 100 meters below the surface. Wooden beams, perfectly preserved by the oxygen-deprived waters, were found alongside stone tools and ceramic fragments. Ballard described them as a snapshot of a world frozen in time. If a single house could survive, how many others might still be buried beneath the seabed? But the mystery runs deeper. Sonar scans in the Black Sea floor have revealed patterns that look strikingly like drowned river valleys and ancient shorelines. One discovery in particular, a submerged shelf once exposed as dry land, has been described as evidence that humans lived far beyond the present coastline. Some researchers even argue that we may one day find entire villages preserved, their outlines still intact beneath layers of sediment. For now, though, most evidence is tantalizing rather than conclusive. Skeptics warn against rushing to label every anomaly on the seabed as a city. After all, natural formations can mimic the appearance of walls or streets. But what we can say with certainty is this. Humans lived along the shores of the ancient Black Sea, and many of their settlements now lie underwater. Whether those settlements qualify as cities in the modern sense is still debated, but they represent a key moment in the dawn of civilization. Consider the broader picture. Around the same time, other regions of the world were undergoing similar transformations. In the Fertile Crescent, communities along the Tigris and Euphrates were beginning to form the earliest proto-cities. In Anatolia, the great settlement of Çatalhöyük was thriving, a labyrinth of mud brick houses without streets where people walked across the rooftops to reach their homes. Could the refugees from the Black Sea flood have carried ideas, technologies, and even myths into these regions? If so, the drowned settlements of the Black Sea may have played a hidden role in sparking the rise of urban life. Let us not forget the human side of this story. These were not nameless prehistoric humans, but families, tribes, and communities. They had rituals, they buried their dead, they carved tools with artistry, and they told stories by firelight. Archaeological finds across the region suggest they worshipped fertility goddesses, revered natural forces, and may have developed early forms of symbolic art. If their world was erased by a flood, the survivors would have carried not just memories, but a worldview forever scarred by catastrophe. And here lies the haunting metaphor. We humans are a species that remembers. We encode trauma into myth, pass it down through story, and reshape it into symbols that endure across millennia. When we hear of a flood sent by the gods, are we hearing divine punishment, or simply the echoes of rising seas that once chased our ancestors from their homes? The Black Sea, then, is not merely an archaeological site. It is a canvas of human memory, painted in layers of geology, myth, and survival. Whether or not we uncover grand cities beneath its waves, the story remains the same. Humans once thrived here, and they lost everything to the sea. From that loss, they rebuilt, adapted, and told stories that still resonate today. And yet, the debate is far from over. Because while some researchers see evidence of sudden catastrophe, others argue for a slower, more subtle process. Was the Black Sea flood an instant cataclysm or a gradual drowning remembered as disaster by later generations? That question leads us into the next chapter of our journey. The debates, the controversies, and the unanswered mysteries that still swirl beneath the waters of the Black Sea.
Science, like history, rarely provides simple answers. And when it comes to the Black Sea, the truth is layered like sediment at the bottom of the sea, each layer telling a slightly different story. Let us begin with the central controversy. Was the Black Sea flood truly a cataclysm, or was it gradual? When Ryan and Pittman first proposed their deluge hypothesis, they envisioned a dramatic, almost apocalyptic event. A Mediterranean surge crashing through the Bosporus, a flood rising hundreds of feet in a matter of months, entire villages disappearing in the blink of an eye. It is a powerful narrative, and one that fits perfectly with the global myths of sudden, divine floods. But not all geologists agree. Some argue that while the Black Sea did indeed flood, it may have been a slower process, unfolding over centuries. Instead of a tsunami-like disaster, the waters may have crept in gradually, year after year, pushing communities back bit by bit. If this is true, then the story of sudden destruction is more legend than fact. Yet, even gradual change can devastate societies. Imagine generations of farmers forced to abandon fertile land as, each season, the shoreline moved a little closer. For them, the world may have still felt like it was ending. This scientific tug-of-war is far from settled. Sediment samples from the Black Sea floor provide clues. Layers of marine shells suddenly appearing above freshwater layers suggest a rapid change. But the dating of these layers is complex, and not all data align perfectly. Some cores suggest a sharp boundary, a flood. Others suggest a slower transition. In short, the evidence itself seems to whisper conflicting stories. And then there is the question of human presence. While Robert Ballard's expeditions uncovered compelling artifacts, critics point out that no large-scale ruins, no temples, no palaces, no streets, have yet been confirmed. Could we be projecting our desire for a lost city onto fragments of ordinary villages? Or is it simply that we have not yet searched deep enough, or in the right places? After all, the Black Sea is vast, and only a fraction of its floor has been explored. Some scholars go even further, suggesting that the idea of a grand city beneath the Black Sea is more myth than archaeology, an Atlantis for the modern age. But others counter. Must a city always mean grand stone architecture? Could not clusters of Neolithic settlements, tied together by trade and shared culture, qualify as a city in the prehistoric sense? Perhaps we need to broaden our definition. There is also the intriguing possibility that survivors of the Black Sea flood carried their knowledge into other lands. Archaeologists have noted striking parallels between pottery styles from the Black Sea region and those found later in the Near East. Could displaced communities have influenced the rise of Mesopotamian villages, or even the earliest steps towards civilization? This leads us to an even more provocative question. Is the Black Sea flood the origin of the world's great flood myths? On one side, supporters of the hypothesis argue that the timing is perfect. The flood occurred around 7,500 years ago, well before the earliest written records, but within the range of oral tradition. Flood myths appear in Mesopotamia, the Levant, Greece, India, and beyond. Could all of these be echoes of the same trauma, carried across generations and cultures? But skeptics remind us that floods are universal. Any river-based society, living near the Nile, the Tigris, the Indus, would have experienced devastating floods. Myths of water, destruction, and rebirth could have arisen independently in many places. To pin them all on the Black Sea may be tempting, but it risks oversimplifying the diversity of human experience. And yet there is something haunting about the Black Sea story. The evidence of drowned settlements is real. The sudden transformation of a freshwater lake into a saltwater sea is real. The fact that ancient people lived through this transformation is undeniable. Whether it was sudden or gradual, it must have left scars, not only on the land, but on human memory. There are also tantalizing hints that we are only scratching the surface. In recent years, marine archaeologists using advanced sonar have mapped areas of the seabed that suggest buried structures. Autonomous underwater vehicles have detected what look like rectangular formations beneath layers of mud. Could these be the outlines of long-lost dwellings? Perhaps. Or perhaps nature itself creates illusions we are eager to interpret as signs of human presence. This is where archaeology meets imagination. Without excavation, without hard evidence, the mystery remains. And that, perhaps, is what keeps the Black Sea legend alive. The debates surrounding the Black Sea flood also connect to larger questions in archaeology. How do civilizations begin? Are they born from gradual innovation or from sudden crises? Did the trauma of losing homelands force humans to adapt faster, to organize better, to innovate in ways they might not have otherwise? In other words, could the flood itself have been a hidden catalyst for human evolution? This is a profound thought, because it suggests that disaster, whether sudden or slow, is not only a force of destruction, but also of creation. Out of chaos comes order. Out of loss comes survival. The Black Sea remains a silent witness. Its depths hold stories we cannot yet read. Perhaps one day archaeologists will uncover an entire settlement, preserved like Pompeii beneath the sea. Or perhaps we will never know for certain. But what we do know is this. Somewhere beneath those dark waters lies a chapter of our shared human story, waiting to be told. And that story leads us to a deeper reflection.
What does the Black Sea teach us, not only about the past, but about ourselves today?
When we look at the Black Sea and imagine the lives of those who once lived on its vanished shores, we are not just studying an ancient catastrophe. We are staring into a mirror of our own age. The lessons hidden beneath those waves are not relics of the past. They are warnings, metaphors, and guides for the present and the future of humanity. Think about it. Prehistoric humans living by the freshwater lake that became the Black Sea must have believed their world was stable. They had fertile soil, abundant fish, rivers flowing from the north, and sheltering mountains to the south. They had no reason to imagine that the very ground beneath them would one day vanish. And yet, their security was an illusion. With the melting of glaciers thousands of miles away, their world was undone by forces far beyond their control. This resonates with us today. We too live in an era of rising seas, changing climates, and sudden natural disasters. Just as the Neolithic farmers of the Black Sea were forced to abandon their settlements, entire modern communities along coastlines face displacement as oceans rise. The trauma of climate migration, the fear, the loss, the sense that the earth itself has betrayed us, is not new. It is ancient. We are simply reliving it in our own time. There is also a deeper philosophical lesson. The Black Sea teaches us that humanity's greatest strength has always been adaptation. The people who lost their homes to the flood did not vanish. They moved, they rebuilt, and they carried their knowledge into new lands. Their descendants may have founded new settlements, shared agricultural techniques, and even planted the seeds of civilizations that followed. Out of tragedy came resilience, and perhaps progress. What does this mean for us? It means that while disasters may feel like endings, they are also beginnings. Just as those displaced farmers carried their myths and tools across continents, we too will carry forward our science, our arts, and our culture, even in the face of upheaval. Survival is not just about clinging to what we have. It is about transforming loss into opportunity. The Black Sea also challenges us to think about memory. If the flood inspired stories of Noah, Utnapishtim, or Deucalion, then myth is more than fiction. It is history encoded in symbols. Myths are how humanity preserves truth when facts are forgotten. In this sense, the Black Sea shows us the power of storytelling. We may not remember the names of the farmers who fled the flood, but their story lives on in the myths we still tell. Today, in an age of digital archives and endless data, the question arises: what stories will we pass down to describe our own struggles? There's also a humbling realization here. The people of the Black Sea may have thought themselves secure, just as we do today. But the earth is never static. Climate shifts, seas rise, tectonic plates move, and civilizations can vanish in an instant. This recognition should not lead us to despair, but to humility and to gratitude for the fragile moment we occupy. It should remind us that civilizations are not guaranteed. They must be nurtured, protected, and remembered. Let us also consider the symbolic meaning of a city beneath the sea. A drowned city is more than archaeology. It is a metaphor for the forgotten parts of ourselves. Just as the seabed hides lost homes, so too do our minds and cultures conceal buried memories, traumas, and wisdom. The task of archaeology mirrors the task of self-discovery, to dive beneath the surface, sift through the layers, and recover what has been lost. The Black Sea, then, is not only a story of prehistory, it is a parable about the human condition. On a practical level, this mystery also pushes us to advance technology. To find the truth beneath the Black Sea, scientists develop sonar imaging, robotic submersibles, and new dating techniques. Each discovery in the depths fuels innovation on the surface. In this way, the search for the past drives the progress of the future. But perhaps the greatest lesson is existential. The Black Sea flood reminds us that humanity is a species shaped by catastrophe. Ice ages, volcanic eruptions, asteroid impacts, plagues,
all have nearly broken us. And yet, each time we adapted. Each time we carried forward. If our ancestors could survive the loss of entire worlds, then perhaps we too can survive what lies ahead. And so, when we reflect on the ancient city beneath the Black Sea, we are not merely chasing ruins. We are reconnecting with the essence of what it means to be human, to endure, to remember, and to rebuild. The drowned city is not just their story. It is ours. Which leads us to the final question. If the past still lies hidden beneath the Black Sea, what else remains undiscovered? How many other chapters of human history lie drowned, buried, or forgotten, waiting for us to bring them to the surface?
The Black Sea whispers a story that is as much about us as it is about our ancestors. Beneath its dark and silent waters may lie the remains of entire settlements, villages, or perhaps even cities, drowned by a flood so powerful it reshaped not only the land, but human memory itself. From the beginning we asked, what secrets lie hidden beneath the waves? And now we see that the answer is layered. Archaeology gives us wooden beams, pottery fragments, and drowned river valleys. Geology gives us sediment cores and evidence of a great influx of saltwater. Mythology gives us stories of floods that destroyed humanity, leaving only a handful of survivors. Each piece alone is incomplete, but together, they form a picture of a world once vibrant with life, suddenly lost to the sea. And yet, the Black Sea is not just a story of destruction. It is a story of resilience. The people who lived along its shores endured one of the greatest natural disasters of prehistory. They were forced to abandon their homes, their fields, their temples, and the graves of their ancestors. But they did not vanish. They adapted, migrated, and carried their knowledge to new lands. Perhaps without realizing it, they shaped the future of civilizations yet to come. This ultimately is the lesson the Black Sea offers us. Civilizations rise, fall, and sometimes are swallowed whole. But humanity endures. We are a species forged by challenge, defined by adaptation, and sustained by memory. The myths we inherit are not just stories. They are survival guides written in symbolic language. Today, as we face our own challenges, climate change, rising seas, mass migrations, we are not the first to confront such upheaval. The people of the Black Sea remind us that while we cannot always control nature, we can choose how we respond to it. Will we cling to what is lost, or will we, like them, carry our knowledge forward and build anew? The question that remains is both haunting and exhilarating. How much of our past still lies hidden? Beneath seas, beneath deserts, beneath ice, there may be countless chapters of human history waiting to be uncovered. Each discovery expands our understanding of who we are and where we came from. But perhaps it also reminds us that we will never know everything, that mystery is part of our inheritance. And so, as we close this journey, we leave you with the question: do we really know our origins? Or are we still living in the shadow of forgotten worlds, buried in places we have yet to look? The Black Sea holds its secrets tightly, but one day, with enough persistence, science, and imagination, we may finally uncover the truth. Until then, we must continue to dive deeper, not only into the seas of the earth, but into the seas of our own history. If this story has made you wonder about the hidden chapters of humanity, join us on the next journey. Like this video, share it with others who are curious about the past, and subscribe to our channel. Together, we'll continue to explore the mysteries of prehistory, evolution, archaeology, and the lost civilizations that shaped our world. Because the truth is simple: the past is never truly gone. It is waiting just beneath the surface.